This is Ken with Brite Supply. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our new 20 horsepower Kohler 36 blower truck mount. It's belt drive. We switched to belt drive. I think we have the best belt drive system possibly in the industry. It's definitely my favorite. It's got a swing arm ball bearing tensioner. It has one lock nut. You unlock it, you take a wrench, you pull it up, you change the two belts, you take a wrench, you pull it back down till it's tight, lock the one lock nut. While you got it off, you change the belt on the pump really quick as well. We've taken the bolts and welded them to the bottom so they're studs. You don't have to get above and below it with your hands. You just take those four cap nuts, loosen them. This turns one way to send it's on a slide plate. One way to tighten, one way to loosen. You can literally change all three belts in 15 minutes on the side of the road with hand tools. I love this system. It runs smooth. It doesn't, I mean, if your belts get a little bit loose, you can tighten them in 5 minutes and make sure you're not getting any slippage. I'm going to follow the path of the water. I'll show you some features that I think are pretty special here. You can turn your output off. Sometimes that's convenient. You know, everybody does it at the other end of the hose, but if you need to change it here, you'd have to turn the machine off otherwise. We've got our blower oil has a viewport on it, so you can see where the level needs to be. See if you're losing oil, you can see it. When you change the oil, you know how much oil to put in it. That's better than just taking this out and letting it run out. You know, filling it till it runs out that fill level port, because that makes a mess. Here's where you change it at. We've got a okay, in here I want to show you that on the blower we run 3-inch all the way to the intake, the big extra volume filter. So there's very low restrictive air pathway. Exhaust also 3-inch with a huge blower silencer. Then we have over here on this side we have dual intakes. Even though this is a 36 blower, we're not suggesting that you can clean carpet with 2 wands, but say 2 people were cleaning upholstery, or you got a guy cleaning carpet, another guy's, you're waiting to do a couch and a love seat. This gives you enough vacuum. We do have enough vacuum to run a wand and a hand tool, or 2 hand tools. That way you don't have to wait. The tank is ported with 2.5-inch. We put in a reducer bushing. That way if someone wants to run 2.5-inch hose coming off the tank, they just remove that and put your 2.5 fitting right in there, 2.5-inch. We also have all the tanks are ported for auto dump pump. If you decide to get one later, you don't have to go back and have somebody weld those onto your tank. And our tank is also ported for dumping on either side. You can put your dump valve on either side. This can swing around, so you can.
I'm going to show them the other drain port.
Yeah, you can
on the bottom there.
Swing this intake T around so that you can put the tank is usually that you put it behind it, but technically if you're in a box truck, you need to put it on this side or run longer hose and put it on that side. You could do it because of the way that's set up. We automatically preset our vacuum relief valves to around 15 inches of vacuum. Let's see. Oh, now
You want to point to that again, because they probably didn't understand what
this is preset to about 15 inches of vacuum. It's an automatic vacuum relief valve that you don't need to worry about again. It is adjustable if you need to. This is your dump hose. This is your hot water coming to your quick disconnect. When you open this, it dumps into the tank through an unrestricted port. The purpose for that is to open that, dump the hot water out of the heat exchanger before you turn the engine off at the end of the job. That way it doesn't, after you turn it off and it quits flowing, it doesn't expand into steam back up into your pump and hurt your pump. That's kind of hard to do anyway on this machine because we're using an Emperor series run dry pump. They're rated for 195 degrees, but we know for a fact there are people out there running 200+ degree water through them all the time, and they're holding up really well. You do that at the end of the job, of course, for about a minute to dump that hot water out, leave it open. And if you want to your next job, be sure you close it, because you're not going to build much pressure or have any heat at all if you leave it open. So you do close it before you go back to work. This has a constant flow circuit going through a jet, and we put a really nice feature on there. We put this needle valve on there, so the smallest jet most people have is our 01s, and you can go smaller, but they get clogged too quick. But what this gives you the ability to do is to restrict the water flow through this constant flow circuit, which is a necessary part of automatic heat control. You can adjust it down to be half or even less of what the jet would normally process at the pressure you're working at. These do need to be adjusted or calibrated after the water's hot. If you do it when they're cold, then when they heat up, the metal parts expand a little bit and they shut off. So you do it when it's hot. Typically you do that and just maybe check it once a week, make sure it's still right where you want it to be. You would just do that by starting it and letting it warm up with the tank lid off and verify everything's working. It does have a solenoid dump valve. We did just run it, and within 5 minutes with the constant flow jet activated but not using water at the wand, it hit 248 degrees and activated the dump valve. So this machine produces a lot of heat. Everything's stainless steel. You got stainless steel frame, stainless steel waste tank, stainless steel heater inside and out, stainless steel exhaust. What have I missed?
Filters.
Okay, we've got incoming water filter protecting the pump. You clean that really easily. You just take that plug out and the water flushes out and flushes the screen, back flushes the screen, then you put it back in. I recommend you do that about once a week. Here's your drain port from your pump, so you don't make a mess when you're draining the oil out of your pump. Here's your drain port from your engine, same thing. Clean without making a mess.
Filters here.
What other filter?
Right here.
We got, oh, okay. These are your filters to protect the DEMA valve, and actually it's Granzol brand, but the dump valve, and also helps the jet stay not need cleaning as often. And this is your constant flow through a small jet, and this is through a larger jet. This is to when it overheats, it opens
And swivels to get access.
And all these hoses are connected to this tank via a swivel, a non-live swivel, so that you don't have. It's real easy to take these off and service this if you need to, or if you need to change a hose or whatever. This is a machine that was designed and built by carpet cleaners, and
tank filter.
That's probably apparent to anyone who has much experience with the with truck
How to
mounts.
clean that.
You take this off. Now this is glued into here. All of these filters are built that way. Don't grab it here and twist it. It's a mistake a lot of people make, and this will eventually come unglued. You grab the plastic hub and twist it that way, and you just take this off and run it under water and to rinse it off. And I recommend you do that every day. Some companies tell you, well, once a week's enough. Here's the thing. Depends on how dirty the job is. As this collects debris, it's restricting your airflow, which means your carpets aren't going to dry as quick and they're not going to be as clean when you're through. It only takes a couple minutes to do. Why not do it every day? That's my recommendation. You can extend the life of this filter, even though it is stainless steel, by spraying a little light solvent on it after you rinse it off every day. It'll last virtually forever if you do that. Otherwise, they typically need replacing about once every 6 to 12 months. That's kind of an average if you use them a lot.
And you can also spray solvent in the hose.
Well, you need to do that at the end of the day if you're not familiar with that process. But at the end of the day, you need to spray a light solvent through your blower for a few seconds before you turn it off. And the reason that's important is the blower, moisture is being sucked through the blower, and inside of the blowers are never stainless steel. They're carbon steel, and they will rust. And they don't rust up hard enough the next morning if you use them every day. But if your job's canceled one day and you sit for 2 days, sometimes people bring blowers in under that situation that have locked up, and their machine doesn't do anything. When you hit start, doesn't even make a noise, and then we have to take it all apart and unlock the blower. It costs them a lot of money, and it's preventable, totally preventable.
There's a switch down here in the tank. You want to talk about that?
I'm sorry, that's the kill switch that when the tank gets to this level, that shuts it off. So that's in time before water gets sucked through the blower and damages it, and then you know it's time to dump your tank. The only other kill switch we have on this machine, since it's a run dry pump and can run dry for hours without hurting itself, we don't have a water pressure sensor on it. The only other sensor that turns this machine off is the oil pressure sensor that's part of the Kohler engine. If the oil's so dirty that it's too thin to build correct pressure, or if it's too low to be building correct pressure, if you're running out of oil, it'll shut the engine off before it gets damaged. Or it might give you time to change it or add oil to it. This is a feature that's only available on the machines that we're using Tuthill blowers on, but when you grease the greased bearing end blowers, the grease comes out the other side and usually falls when it gets hot. When you're using the truck mount, falls all over the truck mount, makes a mess. Well, we've screwed little grease hoses in and a little mason jar and a little place to store it, so that, you know, it's at once a year or so after you've greased it 6 or 10 times, that extra grease ends up in here, where you can use it on something else, put it on your hair, grease your bicycle chain, whatever, or just throw it away without it making a mess all over your truck mount. And this is only available with the Tuthill blowers. We're building machines with Gardner Dipper blower product blowers now, and they don't have a threaded port on this side. So